Hello, Mega Maniacs. I'm Mr. Mega Man Fan, and welcome back to another Homebrew review. If you like this video, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, share, and comment. You know all the things to do. Today, we are talking about Gotta Protector's Amazon's Running Diet. And this one has made some waves recently due to the fact that Limited Run Games announced a physical cart version of this game would be coming out. But what is this game, and why are they doing that, and why has them doing that made some waves? Well, I'll tell you all of that, starting with the history of Gotta Protectors, which was a 3DS game in the Nintendo eShop made by Ancient Corp. This came out quite a while ago, 2016. Believe it was July 2016 to be precise, but it was your typical, shall we say, tower defense game where you have to protect a princess from all the people who wish her harm. The ne'er-do-wells of the kingdom of Magicdacia, or was it Macadacia? Something like that. Anyway, you protect Princess Lola in that game, but this game was a spin-off to promote that game released for free for the NES and Famicom. And when I say for free, I mean it is still for free right now. If you go and Google God Protectors NES, you will find Ancient's website and a link to download both the English and the Japanese versions of this game. Now, why would you pay for a physical cart when you can already play this game for free? Well, that is a good question. I suppose if you don't have an EverDrive N8 Pro, which is what I'm playing this on right now, you might want a way to play it. So that would be an option. But then, presuming you're looking for this game on the internet, you also know that a thing called emulators exists, and you could play it on an emulator without putting it on a physical cartridge in the NES. So that sort of defeats the idea that you need a physical cart to play it, because with an emulator, you really don't. And that's where we get into the controversy that has come up around this game, because Limited Run Games has decided, for either the humor of it or because of their manufacturing process requiring it, I'm not sure which, but they've decided to quote unquote localize this game in the style of 1980s and 1990s NES localizations from Japan to North America. And you may not know what that means, so I'll tell you. It means they're going to take this character who is an endless runner who is trying to train to lose weight, and she has to drink water and avoid cake. So that's what you're doing in this game. You're jumping to collect the water, you're jumping to avoid the cakes, or you're jumping to collect the water, and so on and so forth. You've got two moves. You can slide under things and you can jump over things. You can jump to collect things, or you can jump to avoid things. It's an endless runner. That's all you can do in this game. I'm getting off the point, but it's a game where you're in training because you're this goddess that's trying to lose weight. So you're running in skimpy clothes, and I guess for the purpose of localization, they decided that's too risque. That would be the prevalent attitude that Japan would have had about releasing games in North America back in the day. If it was deemed too titillating, they would cover it up. If it was deemed too Christian, they would remove the Christian symbols, like crosses and iconography of that type. So you could say they're being faithful when they release it in a physical NES cart form by doing what would have been done back then. But given this game is already free on the internet, it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me, and a lot of other people feel the same way. If you're going to release a physical cart, release a physical cart of the actual game, not a censored version of the game. And if we're being perfectly honest, there's not a whole lot to this game. It's any number of tunnel runner, endless runner games that you could play on a mobile phone or buy something like a Bit Trip Runner and play the same idea. There's hardly enough here to justify making a physical version of this cartridge. As a collectible, I can see it. I get that. It would certainly be an interesting piece of shelf candy to have a complete in-box version with a cartridge and manual and pull it off the shelf and say to people, hey, look at this wacky thing I've got. Oh, it's a free game, but they made a physical version of it. Oh. And if you really want to spend $60 for that before shipping, then Bob's your uncle. Do what you want. As for me, I don't want to pay $60 plus shipping for a censored version of a game that's, in all respect to Ancient Corporation, it's I don't want to be too rude here. It's a novelty. It's a distraction. It's not an in-depth game. We're not talking about something like an RPG or a side scroller with RPG elements or a deep shooter with lots of waves to memorize. It's not a sophisticated see, this is where I don't want to be disrespectful. It is sophisticated because it's got a very large sprite, and large sprites are hard to render on NES or Famicom hardware. I get that. There is some technical mastery here to what they have done, but it's still a very simple game. It's almost a tech demo, if you will. And that's why they were giving it away for free on the Ancient website and why they still are. Like I said, if you Google God of Protectors and you go to Ancient's website for the God of Protectors 3DS game and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there are download links for both the English release in North America and the Famicom Japanese release. And they'll work on an emulator and they'll work in an EverDrive N8 Pro or any sort of NES flash cart for the most part. I imagine there are a few that might not be compatible with the mapper, so your mileage may vary, but I didn't have any problems running this game, no pun intended. So my advice to you would be not to pay $59.99 for what they're calling it now on Limited Run, which is Amazon's Training Road. I would just stick with God of Protectors NES. Just play the free version and not worry about it. Just play God of Protectors, Amazon's running Diet. Whether it's the Famicom version or the North American version, it's the same game. There are very, very, very minor changes. They don't even change your outfits. They just change some of the language on the title screens and the game over screen. That's it. So if you want to spend $60 on a physical version, more power to you. But even if you do, it's a pre-order and it's not going to ship for months. So you might as well download the ROM anyway and play it, because if you wanted to play it and you're buying it to play it, you're going to be waiting an awful long time. I've got stuff from Limited Run games that I ordered last April, and we're bumping up on April 2022, and it still hasn't arrived yet. So with the shipping delays, the cargo holds, the logistical difficulties of the post coronavirus era. Sorry, couldn't think of a good way to phrase that. The post coronavirus era has changed shipping and delivery for pre-orders. So keep that in mind when you pre-order something. You're not just going to be waiting a few months. You could be waiting a year or more. So you're giving somebody your money and letting them hold on to it for a very long time until the product can actually be delivered to you. And if it's a company that's reputable like Limited Run, you're not going to be out your money. If it's a company like Analog, you will eventually get the hardware, even though it may take a while for them to finally deliver it. They do deliver their products. I've never not gotten something I've ordered from Analog or Limited Run. It's just, do you want to wait that long? Or do you just want to play the game right now for free since it's already free. That's what you have to evaluate when it comes down to Amazon's training road, or as I'd prefer to say, Gotta Protector's Amazon's training diet, because it seems like even the word diet was somehow not suitable when they're doing their pseudo localization. It's funny, I get it. The humor value of having to localize something like this, it it's amusing as a novelty, but it's also just bizarre to even bother to censor a game like this. I don't even think anybody could find this titillating. It's it's an endless runner no matter what she's wearing, whether she's wearing an outfit suitable for training in or whether she's wearing a full set of clothes. She's doing the exact same thing. It's not like she's enticing you into some sort of adult situation here. She's literally trying to lose enough weight to keep her ass from destroying the earth. 'Cause that's what happens when you eat too many cakes and you run out of energy, you fall down, and you're such a giant goddess that your butt destroys the world. An ass bomb splits the earth in two. So you've got to save the earth by going on a diet. And if somebody finds that to be provocative, I don't know. But nothing in the localization is going to change that. It's not taking the premise away. You're playing the exact same game the exact same way. So to me, the humor is just besides the point of localizing it. The only way I could envision putting up with that sort of localization is if it was optional. Like if you could go into a menu at the start of the game and select turn localization on, turn localization off. If they made it a choice. Otherwise, I would say respect Ancient Corporation and what they came up with to promote Gotta Protectors on 3DS and just let that original vision stand. If you can't make it an option to turn it on and off, I don't want it. I'm not paying $60 for it, but I'm not knocking you if you do. If you like boxed NES games that come with a carton manual and a nice display piece that you can show off to people, go for it. It's just, I'm not going to do it because I can download it and play it on my EverDrive N8 Pro, and to me, that's all I need. I'm Mr. Mega Man fan. This has been Homebrew Review, and I hope you'll check this one out. Like I said, it's a fun distraction, but not a full game.